If you have not tried Crunchyroll Premium, now is the time. You can watch old favorites like Dragon Ball Super, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, tons of anime from the past, present, and future, including right now, Jujutsu Kaisen and Dragon Quest Dai are all available on Crunchyroll. And with your premium account, you get to watch them an hour or so after they air in Japan. Give it a shot right now for free at crunchyroll.com/geekdom. I will leave a link down below for you to check out. So today we're going to be talking about 10 good things, 10 things we liked about the Moro arc now that it has come to an end. And I am being joined by Laughingstock Media. And just so you know that this is one part of a two-part video. The other half of the video will be on Mike's channel, Laughingstock Media, and it's going to be about the 10 things that we did not like about the Moro arc. Top 10 things we did not like about that arc is over on LSM's channel, but this one's going to be top 10 things that we did like about the arc. And if you have your list, please leave a comment down below. I'd be more than happy to look at that and tell us the things that you liked. And over on Mike's channel, leave a comment about the things you did not like. And are you ready to do this, Mike?
Yes, I am. So let's get to it with the first thing that I'm going to be talking about that I really liked about this arc on this list, and that is the art. Because one thing I'll have to say is that sometimes in the Dragon Ball Super manga, Toyotaro's art can be a little bit spotty, either because he has way too many panels, or just, you know, every now and then the art will look a little bit lifeless. And there are some people in the community who know way more about art and, you know, when it comes to manga illustration than I do. However, what I can say is some of the art in this actual arc looked great, particularly that chapter where we saw Goku in his mastered Ultra Instinct fighting against Moro, because that art just looked so awesome. Same thing with that great spread that we saw with the Z fighters all standing together ready to fight Moro as he came to the Earth and along with his henchmen, and of course the final chapter that we saw during the fight of Moro versus Goku, where we had that great spread with Goku in that giant form going against Moro and finishing him off. So I'd have to say the art definitely improved in this arc for me.
My next one, my number 9 here on the top 10 good things that we liked about the Moro arc is that we had magic make a comeback. And I like the fact that characters like Moro and Dai Kaioshin got the spotlight early on in this arc, and we saw a new type of foe, which is Moro using his magic. Now, granted, about halfway through the arc, he stopped using it, which we do cover in Mike's video. But when he did use it, it was a big shocker and a big moment when he was able to stop Goku and Vegeta in their tracks from doing what they always do. And having a character that presents this kind of challenge for Goku and Vegeta was a new thing, or at least something that we hadn't seen in a very long time. And I do love the fact that it was, you know, refreshing to see that. And I wish it did last longer. So what can you say?
My next thing that I wanted to talk about has to be Moro himself, because from Moro's introduction up until a certain point at least, which I'll talk about shortly, I really enjoyed Moro as a character. I loved his character design, because like I was saying before we actually went on the air and recorded this, oftentimes I feel like Toriyama ends up making his secondary villains end up look better and be cooler in a sense than the final forms of particular villains. Like, for example, look at Deborah and look at Majin Buu. You know, but in this case, we ended up having Moro have this awesome Baphomet-inspired design from the very beginning, this demonic goat creature. And, you know, everything about him I really enjoyed. I love villains in Dragon Ball who have to train and make themselves stronger, and Moro definitely did that, not only with his goal at the beginning of the arc to unlock his full magical potential, but also by absorbing the characters and absorbing planets all around the universe to where he pushed himself to being even stronger than Ultra Instinct Sign Goku. And the fact that he was able to get so powerful and, you know, just the inspiration of other characters kind of like Galactus and some of these other, you know, mythical creatures on Moro, all of that I really liked. And, you know, he was just a pretty great villain up until, for me, when he absorbed 7-3, because I really didn't like the change in character design, and I feel like he became a lot more generic and a lot more just, you know, derivative of characters such as Cell, or even, you know, to a degree, someone like Piccolo Jr. So before that, I thought he was pretty great. After that, he kind of was a little ruined for me.
So my number 7 is the character of Mirrors, the other new character introduced. I like the fact that we didn't really know much about him at first. I know there was a lot of speculation about him possibly being a secret villain. And we thought, who is this guy? What's his deal? Why is he doing these things? And he did a pretty good job of hiding who he really was. And then we find out he's a lower tier angel. And it was kind of a cool reveal. And he was able to teach Goku how to, perfect his Ultra Instinct, omen and, improve that and also tap into silver-haired UI at will. But the character of Mirrors, I think, kind of became very endearing by the end. I don't think the audience really connected with him that much. I don't think people care about him that much, but I still think that he was a highlight of this arc and somebody who may stick around for the future. So that is my number 7. You have number 6, bro.
I really liked how characters became more proactive in this arc. All of our characters had to train and push themselves in this arc, rather than just kind of doing stuff on the fly and punching each other until they get stronger just because the plot says so. Goku and Vegeta had to go off on their own individual training missions, with Goku training with Mary Sue in his own time chamber they just so happen to have, and then Vegeta going to Yardrat and learning about Spirit, which is something I also really thought was cool, that they introduced this new kind of form of ki, I suppose, like an aspect of it that, that's something I really like that Dragon Ball Super should kind of be doing, in my opinion, adding more powers that actually diversify the power sets and give our characters different edges. And, they had to learn special techniques, which, push them to being even better warriors. And the same even goes for the side characters, the Z Fighters, the supporting cast. You had even Tien and Yamcha, for example.
Did you see? Shine.
Yeah, Yamcha himself, he went from getting memeified for so many years to now being like, I'm one of the strongest Earthlings there is, and, beating people up. He's still nothing compared to Goku, Vegeta, and so on, but hey, it's still pretty cool to see him get his shine. Most of the characters, even Piccolo to a degree, although, as we talked about in the other list, Piccolo was kind of making some dumb decisions along the way.
And dumb things. Now, my number 5 is actually part of your number 6, but it's going to get focused on more here on this bullet point, and that is Majin Buu did something. So in the Dragon Ball Super, in the Universe 6, Universe 7 tournament and Tournament of Power, they teased Majin Buu fighting, and then somehow they figured out a way to write him out. But here, Majin Buu actually did something. He fought Moro in the first third of the arc, and even though he had Daikaioshin's power, he was fighting again. He was part of the team again. It was good to see Fat Majin Buu actually doing something. And then at the end, he was the one that taught Oob how to put his hand up to donate his God Ki to Vegeta to eventually get to Goku, of course, and to help Goku win. So Majin Buu had a hand in not only defeating Moro at the end, but also at the very beginning fighting Moro and with the Daikaioshin power tapping into it again. So I think they developed Majin Buu a little bit and they gave him something to do. And I'm very happy about that because I always thought that Majin Buu was sidelined way too much. Even in GT, I think he was kind of sidelined a bit. And I think that, and I hope that he does do more in the future.
So the next thing that I want to talk about has to be something that a lot of people come to this franchise for and keep coming back for, which is the action, because this arc definitely had some pretty cool fight scenes along the way. Vegeta versus Moro, Goku and Vegeta teaming up to fight the Galactic Patrol prisoners. You had everyone teaming up along with Majin Buu, now with the Daikaioshin being activated inside of him, I suppose, fighting against Moro. And then, you had a lot of awesome fights that came at the end of the arc, such as Vegeta versus Moro with his spirit power, and Goku with his Ultra Instinct Sign fighting against Moro, and just throwing all caution to the wind and going all out. And, of course, my favorite action sequence, which is probably Goku using his mastered Ultra Instinct against Moro and just giving him an ever-loving beating, kind of like Yusuke versus Sensui, it was just a total beatdown that I loved to see, and that was just
I liked when
great
Moro
fight.
Punched Goku in the chest and broke his own wrist. I love that one.
That was great too. Just Moro punching through Goku and stuff was really awesome too. It brought back a lot of the violence that we really needed. Yeah, exactly. The fact that we had so many arcs of Super that seemed a little bit more, toned down in that regard, but then, Moro stabbing through people and leaving them in a heap, that was definitely a great throwback to some of what we saw in the past.
Agreed. No argument there. Number 3 is I liked Vegeta and Goku's separate training goals. I like how Goku went to go train with mirrors and Vegeta went to go train with the Yardrats, and it was more technique based. Goku wanted to master UI. Vegeta wanted to learn the Yardratian secrets like, teleportation, which he did learn, the instant transmission, instantaneous movement, and he learned Force Spirit Fission, something that Goku didn't even know. So right now, Vegeta knows things that Goku does not know. And let me tell you something, Force Spirit Fission is really powerful and really useful. So Vegeta has a tool in his toolbox that Goku does not have. And to me, that's going to make him a much more effective fighter in spite of Goku having UI. So either way, both these characters, when it comes to their strength, were absolutely much more dangerous by the end of this arc than they were by the beginning of this arc. Just with Force Spirit Fission alone, I feel like Vegeta by himself might be able to beat Broly now. If he just uses that to affect Broly or turn off his rage or turn off his power, he might be able to just beat Broly by himself with that ability. So we don't know, but I'm just saying Force Spirit Fission has tipped the scales now, and Goku is much more powerful because now that he can tap into Silver-Haired UI at will, I mean, the boost of power and strength you get from that is unparalleled to anything else. And we've got, we might have a couple of OP guys on our hands here for sure. But I did like how they trained separately, and it really reminded me of classic Dragon Ball. It was much more thought-provoking.
But my favorite thing about this arc would have to be that it expanded the lore, because I'm sure you guys know by now. I know that Geekdom definitely does. I love my lore, especially when it comes to world building and expanding upon the story. And that's exactly what we really had happen here. We had that with Yardrat, learning more about the people there, having, an actual on-screen view in the manga of what their planet looks like, the different species of Yardratians and the power that they use. We also had, the new time chamber that we saw with Goku and Marish training inside of. We learned more about the angels and, kind of like how their powers work and what exactly happens to them, as we saw with him, that he actually ceased to exist as he exerted more of his angelic powers. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, obviously Moro himself, another ancient being who comes out of the woodwork and, was involved with the Kais and has history with the universe that he wants to devour. The world building is certainly one of the things that made me a big fan of Dragon Ball in the first place. The fact that it takes place in this alternate universe that has its magic and it has science and has all this variety and all of these really interesting aspects about it. Like ever since I saw Goku training on King Kai's planet, I was hooked on the franchise, and that kind of stuff still gets me even now, to where if I get some really good world building, that's definitely gonna be a favorable thing for me.
Number 1 is gonna sound a little bit fanboyish, but it was, to me, really clever and probably the most clever thing Toyotaro has done, or Toriyama, whoever's idea it was, and that is Oob and giving him God Ki, because now they fix what could have ended up being a major logic hole in Dragon Ball, and that is the importance of Oob. Prior to Dragon Ball Super being a thing, and I did a whole video about this on my channel called Oob Limitless Potential, but basically, Oob was a character that Goku had Kid Buu reincarnated to become Oob, so Goku could train with him because of how terrifying Kid Buu was as a fighter, or Majin Buu was. Well, for a while, it became kind of a moot point because Goku in Super, which happens during the 10-year time skip before Goku meets Oob, is fighting all kinds of intergalactic enemies like Beerus and like Golden Frieza and, Goku Black, Broly, Jiren, the Pride Troopers, and these guys are way beyond Kid Buu's power. But now that we know that Oob has some inner, untapped potential, some God Ki, a lot of it, now that we know that, it has made the end of Z, has recontextualized the end of Z, and has made Oob a more valuable character to Goku. So this was really clever because for a long time, for the past 5 years that Super was on the air, we were like, well, what's so special about Oob now? They kind of retconned that. Well, this right here made him more important. So now we have a very clever story point that kind of makes the end of the original manga more powerful if you count Dragon Ball Super as part of that continuity. So to me, it was the best thing about this arc because it actually changed the original manga in a positive way. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would have to say I do. One of the things that I really like the most about the ending would have to be Oob's inclusion. The fact that he injected a little bit of emotion into the scene and kind of like tied it into the end that we know is going to come, because all during Dragon Ball Super, which takes place during that 10-year gap for people who don't know, which always ends up being some of them, the fact is that I always wondered, why is Oob going to matter? After all this training, we've seen Goku and Vegeta and all these power-ups we saw, what does it matter that he has Kid Boo's potential? Well, now they finally found a way to make him seem more relevant and matter even more, because not only does he have that potential, but he also has this latent God key inside of him that will allow him to compete. So I'm glad that they at least found a way to, still make Goku taking Oob off into the distance at the end of the manga actually matter, because that's something that need to happen. Otherwise, we might as well just retcon the end to Z.
And those are the 10 things that we liked about the Moro arc. Let us know what you think. And remember, over on Laughingstock Media's channel, we have the 10 things that we did not like about the Moro arc. So check that out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day, and watch these videos if you like this one. Go!